Amazing grace, what sweetest sight, see her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
Where this world gonna take me, heaven only knows. Sure as hell gonna break me down to the bone. Gonna open it wide, I'm gonna swallow me whole. I'll be standing eye to eye with my soul. I will bleed all alone.
Gorgeous in here. Alright, here's your valley up here. 22 miles. 22? Yeah. Be there in 10 minutes.
I will turn to stone.
Everybody says there's a pile of bears on this river we're headed to. Be interesting to see what we come across. Definitely. You gotta know what you're doing. This place will eat you up in a second. Yup.
Withered, worn, and tired, I'm far from where I came. This lonely road I travel has left me not the same. Some say it's gypsy blood that travels through my veins. Well, I'd rather be the wild one than the one that wears the reins. I will bleed all alone all the time. I'll turn to stone. Yes, I will bleed all alone all the time. I will turn to stone.
It's day one in Southwest Alaska, and after a 670-day hiatus, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have been highly anticipating this trip back to the state where it all began. Weathered in the hangar for 3 days, the brothers have finally set foot at the headwaters of the river system they'll be spending the next 4 weeks living on. For 28 days, the brothers will float 65 miles through some of the best moose hunting in Alaska. Devastated by predation, the brothers are limited to moose and black bear in this specific hunting unit, an area that hasn't been hunted in over a decade. Although it's a risk, it could also pay off big time. With caribou in the waters around them, the brothers settle into their first overnight camp of the trip. Doesn't take long for Chris and Casey to pick up where they left off almost a year ago to the day in the Yukon North Country as they work together as a team assembling their Arctic oven tent. Even though it's only day one, the routine of setting camp is like riding a bike and quickly becomes second nature to the brothers as they try to beat the sunset on their first full day in the tundra.
Roll with me till we're dizzy down these green grassy hills. Roll with me till we're dizzy down these green grassy hills. And we'll lay at the bottom, watch the clouds spin. Sunshine on our backs, the sweet air we breathe. ain't no hurry. There's no place I've got to be. Just right here loving you. Yeah, with you loving me.
Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Ammo to Go, and by these sponsors. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Easton. It's the morning of day 2, and with the rise of the morning sun, Chris wakes up to a lake full of floating food.
We got some ducks down there right now. I just came out here this morning, made some coffee, and stepped out of the tent, and there's ducks. See if I can't take one down. Get a good meal. That would be huge for lunch to get some good solid protein in us.
In an effort to provide a quick and easy meal for the brothers, Chris grabs the shotgun and stalks into position while Casey watches from a distance. In this part of Alaska, ducks are abundant, and with the waterfowl season in full swing, this added food source is a welcome change from the far northern reaches of the Brooks Range, where ducks and geese migrate south much earlier.
This morning, first morning, I got up out of the tent and I looked out, full of waterfowl right here on this lake. So we got after it pretty quick. I grabbed the shotgun, did a little stalk, came up here, had 3 of them right here on the edge, conserving energy, conserving bullets, shot all 3. One shot. Dead ducks.
With the winds picking up and water depths over wader height, Chris and Casey take the opportunity to blow up the Pioneer Extreme rafts to give Chris a mode of transportation to recover the ducks. Having reliable transportation during any float hunting trip is something not taken lightly by the brothers. After researching the water depths of this river system, a smaller raft that is more maneuverable became the clear choice. The Pioneer Extreme will have less draft for the shallower areas Chris and Casey will encounter during their 65-mile journey.
Chris just pushed off to go get those ducks that he shot for supper. And I heard, and I turned around and there was a big bull caribou standing like 10 feet from the tent. There's a cow right there, but I don't know where the bull went. I don't know if maybe the bull's up over the backside of that thing or over the backside there, but it was definitely a bull. I saw it plain as day. I just don't know where it went. There's a lot of thick brush right there. It could be on the backside of that. You know, caribou's closed to non-residents in here. This Malchotna herd's been hit hard with hoof disease, winter kill, wolves, bears. I mean, just the predators alone have demolished this Malchotna herd over the years. But we've seen 13, that makes 13 caribou, and we've been here less than 24 hours. That's the first bull that I've seen. Seen a lot of cows and calves, but that's the first decent sized bull that I've seen. To get this tent torn down and getting these rafts, we're gonna try and make it to some sort of tree line today.
got them. I got lunch and dinner right here.
Nice. Well, at least we got dinner.
We're gonna eat good.
Well, I got these 2 sides done, so we got the bow and the stern, and then we'll be good to go.
I'm looking at the Trimble right now, and we are to where we want to go. We got about 13 miles to where we want to be for several days. If we're looking off that ridge, right there, we're about 13 miles. But being as though it's this late in the day, by the time we get all this done, I say we just hunt our way down and find until we can. If we got to pop a quick stock tonight and then get up and go in the morning and get down there, but
we're gonna have to drag this first section right here. But if we can at least hit that first confluence,
yeah,
where we're just above tree line,
yeah,
I'd like to get to at least there.
With 65 river miles ahead of them, the first stretch at the mouth of the river could prove to be the most demanding. Even with the shallow drafted Pioneer Extreme, the combination of the team's gear weight and shallow water brings in the possibility of portaging certain parts of the river, a process that burns hundreds of crucial calories for the brothers. As they make their way from the slack water of the lake to the river system, Chris and Casey are excited to start their journey, but know that hours of hard work could be waiting for them.
All right, we're at the end of the lake. From here, we got a float drag. Well, it looks more like straight drag.
Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Cabela's. It's day 2 in Southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey have finally made it to the mouth of the river system they'll spend the next 28 days living on. But they've also discovered there's work to be done. In order to get to the main channel, they have to create a new one big enough to float their rafts through by strategically moving several rocks lying in their path. It can be an arduous task, but definitely one the brothers are familiar with.
That left side right there is the main channel, right past this little patch.
All right.
So if we bull rush this short stuff and the skinny stuff and just get it up there as far as we can, we'll have to pick some rocks and then get it through.
All right.
And we should be, that whole bend right there, we should be smooth floating. I don't know down past there, but it looks like we got at least that whole section we can see right there.
Channel.
Because we'll be on the outside.
Well, I mean, we've come this far. This is bad in here. This makes the rock garden look like.
Oh, we're 2.5 hours in and we're 300, 400
Yeah,
yards.
this is pretty ridiculous. Didn't anticipate this. It's all part of float dragging Alaska, though. I'm down 4 layers of clothing and sweating like crazy, but
So
if that's all we got to do, let's just run that son of a gun right up through there as hard as we can and get it to that open water.
Yeah, let's get it through this. Like I said, we're gonna have to pick some rocks right there.
That's fine.
But
it'll be a little channel anyway.
Yeah, we'll get it through there.
All right.
After several hours, the brothers finally push and pull their way through the worst of the shallow water and glass movement in the horizon of the tundra.
Wish we had caribou tags. This area that we're in is closed to non-resident. Oh, it's a big bull too. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
The fall salmon run in rivers of southwest Alaska is in full swing, and the silver salmon are thick even this far up in the river system. Although this is good news for Chris and Casey, it also means they must be on constant alert for hungry salmon-eating grizzly bears gorging themselves in preparation for the long winter. Moving down this narrow and shallow river with extreme caution, the brothers have their first encounter with a giant Alaskan grizzly.
I saw her coming around the point. Her head was giant.
45 yards. That'll get the heart pumping.
When she ran right here, she crossed back over because I guarantee she got cubs in there. And then she was huffing and she stood up and I could see her standing way up above everything. That's why we brought some extra firepower because we're on a salmon river this year and there's grizz and browns, or grizz I mean, all over the place. You don't want to. We can't shoot one unguided. You don't want to do it, but you got to have protection.
Stay on the right side of the rafts.
Yeah. Always use the rafts as a barrier if you can. It's time to set tent tonight. We found a little island right here. It's muskeg. Be nice soft on the back after a long day. And it's got water 360 degrees around it, which is always a nice bear alarm in case Miss Grizzly wants to come back.
This segment of Drop Project Alaska is brought to you by TrueFire. This segment of Drop Project Alaska is brought to you by Realtree. As the sun's setting on day 2, the brothers find a camp only a few miles downriver after burning hundreds of calories on the 10-hour float drag from the LZ. Although they haven't traveled far, Chris and Casey have made it through the worst of the shallow water and now look forward to a much-needed duck dinner.
That was a long day. That is surprisingly amazing. It's a delicious son of a gun.
We got up this morning and still overcast, but the winds have calmed way down. So we're hoping to get a good push on today and get down to the tree line.
Well, packing up this morning, getting ready, kind of condensing the stove down into itself. I brought this as citric acid for when we kill. Just grabbed an old plastic container and put it in. So just got to keep it somewhere safe so it doesn't get wet. But just packing everything up. Yesterday was a long day, really long. But we got a lot of ground to cover. Got to get a jump start on this morning and get after it. Hoping we run into some good water soon.
I kind of walked down here a little ways yesterday and looked at it. And it looks like it comes together pretty good, so hopefully we got less dragging today than we did yesterday, but I'm excited to get rolling. It's a nice day out.
As Chris and Casey begin another day on the river, the process of survival is never too far from their minds. They know each day is a new day, and things can change fast in the wilds of Alaska. Everything is a process, and has a process, and nothing is easily surrendered. Every inch of Alaska is earned, and for the brothers, there's no place in the world they'd rather be than in a river, side by side, staring the unknowns of the wilderness square in the face. But with over 3 weeks left in their journey, they know difficulty lies ahead. In the bush, you must live minute by minute, and for brothers Chris and Casey Keefer, they have no idea how the meaning of living minute by minute can all change in seconds.
Like the native voices, the landscape's free. The creosote is scattered like cattle on a range. The future is mindful of only itself. It has no bounds,
shows no way. In the cool desert night I make my way through a town that is forgotten and dying fast.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight to see her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
Let's just get up there and see what we can see ahead of us. Who knows, there may be a big old black bear standing up there. Sun's down.
I'm going to take the muzzle loader just because it's pretty open up there for bow country. Stick the guns and get a glass in.
Alright, let's go.
It's the morning of day 3 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have moved camp and are in search of high ground. At higher elevations, the brothers are able to get a visual on the terrain ahead and potentially get their eyes on a bull moose or black bear. On this specific river, elevation opportunities aren't abundant. Chris and Casey must utilize elevated ground when they find it. At this point in the journey, the brothers have made the 3-mile downriver trek to Bear Island from the LZ, which they chose to vacate in hopes of high ground and better fishing opportunities.
So I'm looking at the GPS map right here, the Huntfish Pro, and it looks like, yeah, we're coming up on, we're about 2 miles from that confluence. So, and from what I can see, and you can see, there's that stand of timber, but at least we know the river cuts back left.
Oh yeah, they're starting to get patchy right there, but the river looks, I think we're out of the nasty now.
Oh, I hope so.
Now it's just...
It gets super braided according to this, but it looks like it should be 2 big rivers.
I just think
There's got to be another one that comes in over there.
Well, you see, like, there's that hump that goes behind that hill right there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably coming out of those drainages over there, coming behind this hillside right here.
All right, man. Well, it's burning daylight.
We're not getting there any faster.
Let's do it, although it is nice to sit down right here.
With over 60 miles of rivers still in front of them, Chris and Casey have devised a game plan according to the Trimble maps and decided to push on downriver. Leaving high ground in the lower elevations of southwest Alaska can be risky, but with more elevated ground ahead, the brothers have made their decision. With the sow grizzly encounter near Bear Island still fresh in their minds, extreme caution is used when navigating intimate water loaded with mature willows and high tundra grass. Although risky, the brothers have no choice but to push downriver. In Alaska, waterways are the life's blood to predators and prey.
Just came around this slack water right here. Jumped out of the raft, getting ready to walk it through there. I just looked up on the edge and there's big old sow grizz with 3 cubs. She's blonde. One of her cubs is really blonde. And then the other 2 are pretty dark. But they're right there on the edge. This river's gonna flow right by them. She's She's a good size sow.
She's a big sow.
3 cubs. All 3 look healthy too.
She's got to be super cautious going around. At least we know she's up there.
Yeah.
Just watch her in these tight corners, going around these bends. Make some noise when we get down there.
Should keep our eyes open.
Let's ease our way up through there. You know they're coming down to get some of the sand.
I bet you they're coming to this river. Probably coming dropping in.
Yeah.
Well, let's just pick our way down through here nice and easy.
All right.
This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Cabela's. Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Tenzin, and by these sponsors. It's the morning of day 3, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have crossed paths with a sow grizzly and her 3 cubs, a potential deadly situation.
There she is.
Big bear, boy.
Crosshairs dialed down in case you got to put one between her eyes.
She's got 3 cubs and they're kind of riled up. So next time she comes back out in the open, let her know we're here. Ah! Hey there! Hey there! Hey there! Hey there! Hey there! Hey there! Ah! Hey there! Ah! 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 Hey there! Come on! Yeah! Hey there! Get out of here! Come on! Get out of here! Ah! Get going! Come on! Back to eating. Come on now. I think she's up in there now, which means you want to try and push through here?
Yeah, I say we just ease our way down through here.
Let's scoot through. Just keep your eye out behind you too.
I loaded this for noise.
Around. That's fine.
A deterrent.
That's fine. We know she's on that side as of right now, so just stay on this side of your raft.
Yeah.
Try and keep the raft between
left
us.
side of your raft.
All right, let's go.
For now, the danger seems to be avoided, but things change fast in the bush. With over 50 miles of the Salmon River still left to float, Chris and Casey know it probably won't be their last brush with a grizzly. As the brothers work their way downstream, the adrenaline finally leaves their bodies. And just like the sow grizzly, Chris and Casey have found a stretch of river that can provide them with an easy meal.
As we got down here, we hit this big slack water. There's a really good foam line on the far side, and there's yellow stones everywhere. And the grayling are rising to them, so We decided to break out a 5-weight, put the stick together, see if we could catch lunch. And that right there is gonna be lunch.
That is a beautiful grayling. Look at that.
The rivers in Alaska are known for their legendary salmon runs, but within these pristine stretches of water, Arctic grayling live side by side with their larger counterpart, offering the brothers multiple options for dinner.
The best way I found to cook them, they're bony, really bony fish. The best way I found to cook them is just wrap them in foil, throw them on a fire. That's it, because then you can just gut them, cut the head off, cut the tail off, wrap them in foil, and then just peel them apart and just pick and eat them. So we had an 8-weight rigged, so I took this stick, threw it out. We're doing chuck and duck, same exact spot, and hooked into a big red. So we got a pile of salmon right here. Salmon. Yeah. Ooh, baby. What a beautiful fish.
Look at the kite, big
Look at that.
jack.
Need some demo work. Other than that, gorgeous fish. Yeah. That's the one thing about some of these Alaskan fisheries that's nice, is there's so many different species in here. There's dolly varden, salmon, grayling. Anywhere you see salmon running up, there's just a pile of grayling behind them eating eggs. To come up and hit this confluence and get a whole stretch where there was dry flies hatching, stone flies going off, and to be able to just stop, snag a few, put them in a bag tonight, have them for dinner, just food, perfect. Oh yeah.
This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Alaska Tent and Tarp. It's the afternoon of day 3. After successfully catching dinner, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer are now in search of a campsite.
The windy river's got me. I think you're a lot further than you are.
A solid day of floating has led them to a gravel bar that yields both food and good firewood, but tonight both will wait. With a long day on the water, the brothers shut it down for the night to catch up on some much-needed rest. It's the morning of day 4, and at this point in the journey, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have floated and dragged their way to Bear Island from the LZ and continued 6 miles through the bear-infested waters above the current gravel bar, aptly named Spruce Valley Camp.
I'm getting these grayling cleaned up here for breakfast this morning. These are the grayling that we caught yesterday, and there's not really too much that goes into this. Generally what I like to do is just kind of go in right by their anus right there and just kind of slice them right up the middle, get all the way up to right about the head, right there in the throat, and then I'll peel the guts out. Get in and get underneath all the guts, peel all that stuff out of there. Rip it right off of the head there, just like that. Take my knife, come in behind these fins, right through. Take the head off. So that's pretty much it for cleaning out grayling. It's pretty quick and simple, and then you just take your thumb and run it along the backbone and get all that stuff out of there. Just make sure you wash it out really good. You know, grayling are really easy to catch up here. They're not a real picky fish. So they're pretty easy to catch on both dry flies and on wet nymphs and stuff like that. So there's not a lot of meat on the smaller fish, so it's nice to be able to find some of the bigger ones. I mean, you can see these guys got quite a bit of meat on there all the way down this side. So what we'll do is we'll cook the fish with the skin right on, and then we'll have a little bit of breakfast.
This morning's one of those mornings where we were gonna eat, that's for sure, because yesterday was one of those days where you're rowing forever. It's been 2 days of solid rowing. We got into camp late. We just kind of picked a spot off the side right towards dark, tried to get as far down as we could, picked a spot and stopped. And by the time you get into camp, set tent, get all dialed in, it's late, and really, honestly, your stomach shrinks up when you're not eating, you know, full meals, 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day. So really wasn't that hungry, but was more tired than anything. So decided that we're gonna get a good rest, save the fish for the morning, get them cleaned up. And one of the things that, you know, we bring with us, the only luxury that we have, is we bring some seasonings with us, because eating straight meat, straight fish for 30 days or whatever is just it'll wear on you. So we bring seasonings. I got lemon pepper for fish, we got Montreal steak for the meat, and we just bring some aluminum foil. So it's just nice to be able to wrap them up, season them a little bit, at least give you some flavor. So for now, I'm just gonna finish this last fish up. We are prepared right now, so it's time to stoke the fire and eat.
Life's song is a skeleton. Rhythm, skull and bone.
In the wilderness of Alaska, nothing is handed to you. Each element of living must be earned. For Chris and Casey, they spend the morning focusing on different aspects that will ensure their survival. But as brothers, the unspoken bond between them is undeniable.
God's breath that gives it soul. Yeah, it's God's breath. God's breath that gives it soul.
Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by AXT.
Oh, we got 3 miles to that confluence down there. But anywhere on this river, we're about 2 miles from the hills.
All right.
So we're just gonna have to get down there and try to find, like, got a little bit of elevation in here.
On that right side?
Yeah, but there's nothing elevation-wise off to the west right there. So
I just wonder if it's open tundra or not. No, let's just row, and then once we know we're about 2 miles in, let's just start looking. If we end up having to go a little bit further down just to get down to find a spot, we will. We need to find a camp for the next 3 days, so we can get on some moose.
And those bears, black bears, should be all in these hills right here.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
All right, let's hit the river. Let's push out.
The everyday life of a rafting hunter in Alaska is demanding, and the search for the perfect camp never seems to end. As Chris and Casey move once again downriver, a piece of them is left at each stop along the way. With the days slowly starting to pile up, the pressure slowly builds as well, and with the moose rut nearing, Chris and Casey both know this year's story has just begun.
Gone. Yes, I've been gone so long. Yes, I've been gone. Take me home, Tobacco River, take me home. Goodbye, Blue River, ain't sinking like a stone. I'm going home. Goodbye, Blue River, ain't sinking like a stone. No, I ain't, I'm going home.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight to see her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
It's the morning of day 5 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have found high ground. Finding elevation on this stretch of river is no small feat, so Chris and Casey make sure to utilize the willow-thick high bank to their advantage. With the moose rut still over a week away, the brothers focus their attention on the draws and sloughs of the river bottom, hoping to catch a flash of white antler reflecting sunlight. It's a tedious and time-consuming task, but patience can pay big dividends. At this point in the journey, the brothers have traveled 1.5 miles to Bear Island from the LZ, where they overnighted, then rafted downriver another 8 miles to Spruce Valley Camp. Now almost 4 miles past Spruce, Chris and Casey find themselves not only on high ground, but in the middle of a giant blueberry patch.
Just stopped a glass. There was one spot where the bank came up. Anytime you can get elevation, gotta get elevation. Just happened to come upon a giant patch of blueberries. Not gonna miss the opportunity to put something in my stomach. So we're just crushing some blueberries and glassing all along these hillsides. These blueberries are so good. They're not like at home. Just delicious, look at that. Just the taste, just to have a different flavor in your mouth, it's just incredible. You gotta go for the big boys. This guy, and that's a stud. That's a stud. That's a Boone and Crockett blueberry right there. Pope and Young, whatever you want to say.
As Casey glasses the tundra for moose and black bears, Chris gets a good look at the river ahead. Getting any sort of visual image of the river and surrounding terrain can be a huge advantage in the bush, especially in an area that has went unmanned for over a decade. Log jams and new braids in the river system can occur over time. Observing any avoidable obstacles from a distance can save the brothers from putting themselves in dangerous situations. Once Chris gets a visual reference, he matches it up with his Trimble maps to get a game plan.
I just went on that corner in Glass. I was checking the GPS. Well, it looks like the elevation, we're about 75 feet above right here, and it keeps the ridge all the way. And it looks like it comes back around like a couple times. You know, there's a line next to the river with a different elevation change.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're gonna be able to see, but I know that about a mile down is where I mean, we're only a mile from where all three meet. Let's hit it so we don't burn in daylight. Let's get into that big stand of timber down in there and see if we can't find elevation. Because if we can set camp right on the river and then be able to just climb up here all day in Glass and call, I'll feel real good. Real good.
That is where it's at right there. It just gives you a little spark. They're so good. So sweet, juicy. We could sit here and eat blueberries all day, but we gotta roll.
With daylight growing shorter each day, Chris and Casey's sense of urgency intensifies. The brothers now have a game plan for the rest of the day, with the number one objective: find food. Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Ammo to Go, and by these sponsors. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Cabela's. It's the afternoon of day 5, and as brothers Chris and Casey Keefer continue to migrate downstream, another migration isn't forgotten. Ducks are plentiful on this river system and can provide a meal for the brothers, which at this point in the journey is priority number 1.
You know, there's a lot of waterfowl on these rivers up here, especially this time of year. We've been seeing a bunch of ducks. So we're actually gonna float with this shotgun loaded. I'm gonna keep it just kind of behind me in case we come across some ducks. That way we can hopefully at least shoot 1 or 2 for supper. Get a couple of good duck breasts. That'll hold you for a long time. So we're gonna float down, keep the shotgun handy, and hope we come across them. She's loaded, rigged, and ready to roll.
As the brothers make the turn around each bend in the river, they look carefully for any waterfowl that may be holding in slack water by shore. Although trumpeter swans would provide an abundance of meat for Chris and Casey, they're not in season in this area of Alaska. But further downriver, Casey has his eye on some ducks.
Nice shot. It's quick on the trigger there. Mallard. That's good.
See that pattern on that last one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was aiming head.
Yeah.
So, bam. Supper.
Just floating down the river. Got that shotgun handy at all times because You never know if you're gonna see any ducks. Hey, dead duck is meat in the boat. So he just smoked that one right there. It's a sweet duck. We'll have duck breast. At least we know we got a meal when we get into camp. It'd be nice. I can still see a bunch more down there out in front of us. Maybe we'll pick up a couple more. Well, it looks like there's some big water coming up, and we got 5 or 6 bends from what I can tell. And we'll be at the confluence of all that, which is where we want to be.
It looks like where all these creeks come together, we'll be able to see those hills.
Off to the
left side.
yeah, no, it's off to the west.
I just can't believe we haven't seen anything floating. We've seen some moose tracks, some old tracks, but
Yeah.
nothing new or fresh.
Yeah, there's tracks all over the place.
Just nothing fresh.
This is definitely moose country though. It's spruce, it's thick, and they're in here. Willows. This is where you want to look for big game. It's down in here. The problem that we have right now is we got to get elevation of some sort. And if it's not available, then we got to get somewhere where we can see down both sides of the river pretty far.
Climb up the cottonwood.
Yeah, then we'll just get elevation in a tree, which I'm not opposed to doing. So, I mean, 3 rivers flow in together right there, and mountains on both sides. I got to imagine there's a corridor of some sort. We just got to find the right camp. So really from here down, these next 5 or 6 bends and down, we're looking. We've been rowing for a good while. It's 5:30 right now. We can find camp and set up by between 6:30 and 7. Last the last couple hours of daylight. Oh wait, right here. There's 2 silvers right here. I mean, if we're here, 2 of them right there. I mean, we might as well catch him if we got a chance. We just took a break. He's right here. He's just floating up.
As Chris and Casey discuss the plan for finding their next camp, 2 silver salmon enter a deep hole behind them, and the brothers don't waste any time capitalizing on the opportunity for some more food.
We stopped for salmon. Neither one of them would hit, but we got a grayling. So at this point, we're looking at duck breasts and grayling for dinner tonight. Living out in Alaska right here, surviving off the land. It'll provide you with everything you need.
This segment of Drop Project Alaska is brought to you by TrueFire. This segment of Drop Project Alaska is brought to you by Realtree. The sun begins to set on day 5, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer find themselves in the familiar situation of finding camp. In the bush, a campsite is the lifeblood to the hunt. A good campsite could be the difference between success and failure.
We happened to go up on this little ridge right here looking for a campsite. Put the glasses on, look down, just pile of salmon in there. We're stacking up dinner right now. Here you go. Now we just need to get to camp, catch a few more of these, be dialed.
In Alaska, an opportunity for an easy meal while in the bush can't go overlooked, especially when it's your only source of sustenance. In this situation, Chris and Casey have stumbled upon an area in the river holding several hundred salmon. The brothers realize the further downstream they float and the closer to winter it becomes, the fewer opportunities they'll have at catching fish during Alaska's legendary fall salmon run. In just days, the abundance of salmon they currently have in front of them could be nothing but a memory.
Look at that right there. This is a male. You can tell by that kite right on the end right there how it's hooked over, that hook nose. That's what it's about right there. I'm gonna let this guy go. We got one big salmon in the boat. It's a beautiful one. She's not spawned out, so this one's got a little red on it. We want to just try and keep them as clean as we can, so we'll let this one back in, do his business.
As the year's silver salmon spawn drifts into its final stages, the once prized flesh of these fish begins to deteriorate. The cycle of life for a salmon is nothing short of spectacular. Each year they enter the streams healthy and strong, their bright silver skin a stunning contrast to the reds, purples, and greens they will morph into over the next few months. Males, known as jacks or bucks, begin to transform, their jaws turning up, forming a large, strong kite, the perfect housing for their rapidly growing teeth. Females, known as hens, transform more in color than they do in shape. For both sexes, as their skin begins to darken to a crimson red, their flesh begins to rot. Each day the flesh softens, and for the brothers, getting a good meal of salmon means finding a fish with decent-looking flesh. But in the bush, any salmon is better than no salmon.
Do you know from where you come? Do you know what you came to do? Or leave behind you when you're gone?
Off the water for the first time in over 14 hours, and with daylight fading, Chris and Casey finally find a camp that will provide them with their first opportunities in moose country.
Do you know why you're here?
With a raft full of ducks and salmon, Casey builds a fire that will first brew a pot of cowboy coffee and later provide the heat for a much-needed meal.
Do you know what you came to do? Or leave behind you when you're gone?
Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Easton. It's the evening of day 5, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have rafted their way almost 6 miles from Spruce Valley Camp to the current location they've named Moss Camp. Since the LZ, the brothers have traveled almost 16 miles and have finally entered what they now consider moose country. It's a good feeling for the brothers to find a location they can settle into for the next several days.
Well, it's September 8th, and the bugs are out in full force. But we finally found our first solid camp.
We covered some ground today. We needed to because we were backed up. That first section of float drag put us back about a day and a half, close to 2 days. So we're actually down to where we first wanted to be, past the confluence of where these 3 rivers meet.
This is our first official moose camp, so we'll probably be here. We're planning on being here for at least 2 days. We got this plateau behind us we want to hunt, and then we've got the one above us that we want to hunt. So we'll probably go down one way and then go back the other way over the course of 2 days. So we'll see what happens, but this is a great camp. Feels like a really good spot.
Feels good to be out here. Live to hunt, hunt to live. Right now, I'm not hungry in the least. I've had duck, we've had grayling, we got salmon in the boat. Just an awesome day. We got into a pocket of salmon today that was just crazy. So much fun. I could sit there for days on end. You pick one out you need to eat, sport fish a couple more, let them go. Nothing better.
But today I lost my lucky lanyard, which kind of brutal. This river gets real tight in some spots, and there's some big sweepers that are hanging out over, and we kind of went into one of those sweepers a little bit. Didn't really have a choice. Went into the sweeper, and my lanyard must have got yanked out. It had my tippets, my hemos, my nippers. It had everything on it. So I'm kind of bumming about that. That was the worst part of my day, is losing that lanyard. A lot of sentimental value in that thing. It's been with me a long time, but oh well. We're here in moose camp, what can I say? This is a good feeling. Lots of moose sign around. I'm ready to get one knocked down.
So we can get a couple moose in this camp, that would be awesome. At least get one, see one. We got black bear tags as well. So I'm ready to rock and roll. All in all, phenomenal day on the river. Love dragging, love floating, and I love moose hunting. Alaska. It's at its finest right here, right now.
As the sun sets on another day in the bush of Southwest Alaska, there's no better way to celebrate a successful day on the river than fresh duck over an open fire. In the wilds of Alaska, it's not always the big victories the brothers remember. It's the small victories along the way that provide them with not only the energy that will ensure their survival, but the fuel to the memories that will last the brothers a lifetime. As day 6 begins with claps of thunder, what was once a camp of great potential, the temperamental weather in Southwest Alaska has now turned into a veritable rainforest. It's no surprise to Chris and Casey, and if there's anything they've learned in their time spent in the bush, it's being persistent through extreme weather changes. Whether it's several feet of snow, dangerous whitewater, or torrential downpours, the brothers have persevered. And 6 days into their 65-mile journey in the rugged terrain of Alaska's Southwest, Chris and Casey are going to get tested once again, and this time, maybe more than they ever have.
Hello, my mama. How have you been? How's the children? How's your friends? How's the weather? Happy together until the end. Until the end.
Amazing grace, what sweetest sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
I don't know what we're gonna do. We got up this morning, the rain finally stopped, but it poured on us all day yesterday. And that river is so much higher right now than it was the day we got here. It's not even funny, hey?
Yeah, this is something right here. I mean, it's Alaska, it's gonna rain. We're definitely prepared for that, but that was 24 hours of just beating right there. I mean, that water is up several feet.
That log was 4 feet in from water line.
Yeah, well, our boats were dry docked right there.
And it's 10 feet past the log right now.
Well, the problem we have right now is that this where we're at right now, it became a moat because the backside of it, I mean, just because the water's come up so bad, this canal on the back that was dry that we could go across and get firewood on is now way far and way deep. The only way to get to it is waders, which means the only way to hunt is to put your waders on to go across this canal in the back and go up the sides, but then you're walking in your waders the whole time, and it's just a mess. I feel like we got an opening here. We don't get many of them. I say we push out.
It's the age-old question with these hunts is what's around the next bend. You have no idea.
It's the morning of day 8 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have a decision to make. Since landing at the LZ over a week ago, the brothers have made it downriver and through the bear-infested water of Bear Island, fished their way 8 miles to Spruce Valley before rafting another 6 miles to their current location, Moss Camp. Prisoners to their tent after 2 days of torrential rains, this promising camp has turned into Alcatraz.
It's time to bail out of here. We're packing in the rain, which is always just dandy for everybody, but we got to get to another camp where it's a little more suitable for what we're doing here. If it's going to rain like this, then we need to have the ability to really gather some wood. Stay warm as everything. Temperature's dropping, but I think at this point, stay dry, stay warm. Let's hit the water. Let's go. See if we can get about another 3, 4, 5 miles somewhere in there. We got looked at the Trimble, saw where we want to be. Looks one thing from the air, looks totally different when you're in the water. So, but we got to get these boats packed, get everything covered, all the rain flies out on all the tenzings. Just keep it all as dry as we possibly can. Get to the next camp, set up, and let's hopefully get 3 days there. If the weather breaks, that'd be great, but can't count on that here in Alaska. You gotta just count for the worst. So, time to move.
With the river reaching flood stages, their access to the land around them is extremely restricted. In any hunt in the Alaskan bush, success can be directly related to the access to high vantage points for spotting game. With the moose rut still a little over a week away, the brothers must rely on high ground or open river valley to spot moose and bear, both of which now are not available at their current camp. As they have done dozens of times before, Chris and Casey pack camp in the rain, a task that dampens the spirits and their gear. As the brothers continue to move downstream, the damage to the riverbanks around them is evident. Mature trees and willows, once free of current and on high ground, now wave as the rushing river rips past them and drape toward the rising water like a canopy. It is now evident to Chris and Casey the damage of the storm is much more than they had anticipated, with repercussions that will change everything. Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, ScentLock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Tenzin, and by these sponsors. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Cabela's. It's the afternoon of day 8, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have left their flooded camp and are moving downstream in search of a new one on higher ground. Evidence of the flood is everywhere, and just 5 bends downriver from Moss Camp, they've located a gravel bar that Casey checks for moose sign.
We pushed off a camp here probably 25-30 minutes ago. Came around to a big gravel bar here where we can see this whole hillside that's off river right. We can see the whole thing. So we decided to stop and glass that hillside a little bit, looking for black bears maybe up on berries, or moose if they're up in those draws, getting out of the bugs up where there's some willow, some food for them. But there's tracks all up and down these bars down here. Nothing looks super fresh, but I always like to get out and check these bars out, look for sign. I mean, there's a lot of tracks through here, so obviously the moose are using this. There's some bigger tracks too. I'm looking around, looking for fresh tracks, looking for fresh droppings, fresh scat. If I can find any, might give me an idea of how long ago those moose were in here, if they're still in here. And then also this time of year, getting into the rut, starting to look for these willows. where they're all busted off, or any of these shrubs or bushes or anything is busted off and torn all to hell, because the moose will use them to rake and rub velvet and everything else. So basically just trying to find some fresh signs, see if we can at least locate an animal that's in the area, that's staying here and been using this area. So I'm gonna kind of keep looking around the island here, and we'll do a little bit of glassing.
Gravel bars are a prime location to check for fresh sign, especially after heavy rains. Rain washes out the impressions of old moose and bear tracks, and the new sign becomes more prominent. In this situation, Casey is following a set of fresh bear tracks further away from the river and further away from his rifle. On a salmon river, extreme precaution must be taken, and Casey has made a grave error by leaving his rifle in the raft with Chris. Predators can loom around every bend in the river, and getting too comfortable can be a deadly mistake.
I was standing on the edge like this, looking down at the tracks. I got like 10 yards back into this brush, and it just, I mean, my hand crashing loudly. I have no idea what it was. So how far in was it? It's probably, see where those like cottonwood looking trees are? It was between the bank and there, for sure. I have no idea what it was. I figured let's just get out in here and do a little call and see if it's maybe a moose or something. Yeah. My raft's up and good. Is yours good?
Make sure the rafts are good. That's why I didn't go with you, because I don't want to lose that raft. It's got a swift current.
Just want to make sure it's up there.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab my bow.
Yeah.
Backwater oxbows litter the landscape of southwest Alaska, which are prime locations for moose. The mostly shallow water collection areas also offer fishing opportunities for grizzlies looking for an easy meal of salmon. Knowing this and on full alert, the brothers ease their way into the location Casey heard the crashing. Hoping to get a whiff of the musky scent of a bull lingering in the air, Casey rakes a pine, hoping to bring a bull out of the thick willow-choked banks around them. Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Alaska Tent and Tarp. It's day 8 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have found an oxbow that could hold the giant bull moose they have been searching for. After hearing heavy crashing in the willows around them, the brothers call and wait patiently for a response. Any response.
All right, so Casey was checking. I was holding on to the rafts because we got a stiff current right now. I didn't want him to go floating by. He started coming running out. Like, hey, here's something. Well, I guess he heard some crashing going back through here. We don't know what it is. The problem is it's too thick in there to go after it because it could be a grizzly bear or whatever. We didn't hear any antlers banging, but we're going to sit here and call. There's this little chute that goes up right here. And I just had 3 giant salmon go by, so I could have been a bear in here fishing. And he just kind of winded us or saw us and took off. So, we're gonna check and make sure it's not a big moose. Then we'll hit the river again.
After more than a half hour of calling and listening, Chris and Casey make their way to their rafts from the hidden oxbow a few hundred yards away. The brothers get no more than one bend down from the gravel bar when they hit their first log jam of the trip. In an area unhunted for over a decade, this is something Chris and Casey expected, especially after the heavy flooding in the area over the last 2 days. Now they have to devise a plan to get both rafts through or around the roadblock. With heavy undercurrents and ripping white water, the wrong decision could prove to be tragic. Casey assesses the situation while Chris ties off the rafts.
This storm, I mean, I knew it was bad. I knew the river was rising, but boy, it has taken out some serious damage on this river. Now we're at a point right now where there's 4 parts right here in the river that are all jammed completely. So our only option is going to be to either chop down what Casey seems to have found a hole over here, chop down some of that stuff, cut it, and try and drag through it, or we're going to have to portage over top of this stuff right here on the dam and try and get the rafts up and over on dry land and then get them back down. There's a chute right through here, but it's really, really deep. And then you're just putting your gear at its own risk, and it's not worth it. So, Casey, I'm gonna wait for him to come across. He can't hear me because it's flowing so loud right here. He's looking, he said he thinks there's a way. He yelled at me earlier. Cut that brush. I'm gonna grab the axe and the saw, go over there, cut that brush before I bring the rafts over, see if we can get a good solid opening, and then he seems to think we can squeeze them through there. That's better than dry landing it over top of this hump, so I'll get the axe.
With several mature trees down blocking their way through, Chris and Casey decide their best chance at getting the rafts to the clear downstream current is to cut right through the tree with their saw. With the amount of gear on each raft, the last resort is unpacking and portaging them around the log jam. With only the width of each raft needed to be cleared out, the brothers work together in the cold and heavy current to create a funnel through the trees, allowing them to continue to move downriver.
All right. Can't believe that storm wreaked so much havoc on this river. It's all right, let's keep pushing.
This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by AXT. It's the evening of day 8, and with the log jam now behind them, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have moved from the once promising Moss Camp to a new camp located on a giant gravel bar 6 miles downstream. Arriving late to what is now Salmon Island Camp, the brothers warm their cold bodies by a much-needed fire as a clear sky reveals a full moon on the dawn of September 11th. As day breaks on day 9, the brothers are revitalized by blue skies in hopes of new beginnings at their latest river camp.
So today is 9/11. So I've done it before and I'll do it again. I got to give tribute to all the men and women who serve in our armed forces. God bless you. God bless you today. God bless you every day. You fight for our freedom, and without you, we wouldn't be able to come out here and enjoy God's creation like this. And I just want to say thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of the men and women in the armed forces. You guys rock. Be alive.
So yesterday was tough. It rained on us the whole way down the river. Encountered a couple log jams, had to get out, do some cutting, kind of fight our way through them. Had to portage over a sandbar on the one and then cut our way over through all the brush on the other, but you know, we made it through. So it's all part of it. It's all part of the hunt up here. I'm ready to see some moose, ready to see some bears. Should be getting into some prime time for moose. We're gonna be doing a lot of calling from camp here, hopefully. Be able to bring some moose into camp so we can knock one down, get some solid food. You know, we got the salmon in the river. And we got into camp last night and we were just soaking wet. Everything was drenched. We had to get the tent up in the pouring down rain. It was getting dark, so we went ahead and did everything. Didn't really have time to shoot a journal, so we decided to shoot one this morning, and lo and behold, the sun is shining.
We got both sides. We got salmon in front of us. I mean, this is just fantastic. Really looking forward to this camp. We're gonna sit here for a little bit. We're gonna camp up high like this for probably another 2 to 3 days.
And it's kind of fitting that all this time after September 11th, the sun still shines on a day like today and reminds us that as people and as a society that we can move forward and we can do better things, not only for each other but for the earth as well, and for the land and all the animals that call the land home. So it's fitting that the sun's out today.
I have always wanted to leave this place behind.
Surviving in the rugged terrain of Alaska is never guaranteed, and with every bend in the river, a new obstacle presents itself.
From the far side, prairies and
With each obstacle, there's a chance for victory, but with each mile the brothers migrate downriver without seeing big game, the odds of having a successful trip this season slowly diminishes in the eyes of some. But for brothers Chris and Casey Keefer, success is simply measured by being alive each day in some of the most rugged and untamed areas on our planet. The victor is yet to reveal himself, and with almost 2 weeks still left in moose season, victory could be just around the corner.
ball know how flatten the can't be fixed.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
Well, we're doing something a little bit different. Or I'm making a live well right now. It's this little area here on this island that is kind of consists of this little stream coming through, which makes this little island. Well, in the back part here, in this back eddy, there's two ends. That end down there is pretty deep. This end down here is really shallow. So all I'm doing is the water's flowing in this way. I'm gonna block off an area right here where the salmon can get through, and then on that end I really blocked it off so the water gets a little deeper. As we catch fish, what we've been running into is you can't catch everyone and fillet them and fillet them and fillet them, but you don't want to let them go because that's food, that's a source of protein. So right now we'll get the live well built, and once I have this built, we're going to see if there's salmon running up through this run right here, fish for them. That way if we catch them, we can put them in this live well, they'll stay fresh, and we can just pick them out as we need them. We'll make it happen, but then we can just pull them out, fresh fish, one at a time when we need them.
It's the morning of day 11 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have now settled into their newest camp, Salmon Island. Hoping to build a makeshift live well, Chris utilizes the logs and trees from the recent storm to block both ends. Now on their third straight day of blue skies, the river is finally starting to clear enough to sight fish. This river camp is providing everything the brothers need for survival right at their fingertips. And as Chris and Casey turn their attention to catching a meal, it's not forgotten that the days will be numbered at this camp if it doesn't offer them good moose hunting opportunities.
Now we got a good salmon on here. It's weird because with this storm and all this rain, the color of the water's changed big time. It's tough to see them laying out in there like we normally would be able to, just because the water's so dark. We can see right through it, but it's dark. So when they get down in there, that red kind of blends in with everything and you can't see them. So Chris was on the edge over here and he spotted two salmon coming up. I think what they're doing is they're running up through the fast stuff down below us. And then there's another run of fast water and riffle right here. So I think they're hugging this inside bend, getting into this slack water, taking a little rest. So he spotted two of them going up through there, and I just hit the high point up here and snagged one of them.
With fish number one for the morning successfully on shore, the brothers are now insured for a day of hearty food.
I'm gonna take this salmon down and put it in the live well there, that little pool that we built. Build our little live well section right here. These fish are gonna stay right in here, be perfect. Be nice to have them right here in this little area where they can swim. They can't get out. I gotta get some more flies and get after them. Nice catch.
Salmon number two.
There he is, number two right there.
Good jack. We'll take him back there and get that other one that you put in that pond out. We'll cook him up.
Living in the wilds of Alaska is never easy, but at times a day of abundant bounty can trick one into thinking otherwise. On this day, the brothers work simultaneously as a team. It's a well-oiled machine that's had a lifetime to get refined. Casey works alone on the river shore, filleting the morning's catch, a task he's perfected throughout his years of guiding and surviving in the bush.
Casey's finishing up filleting that salmon. I'm looking forward to putting something in my belly. I got fire duty right now. I just kind of get this baby stoked up and ready to rock, so when he gets back, we can cook the fish, get a good belly full. It's moose 30 right now. Every moose we've killed has been between this time and dark. So we're being super quiet around the fire, trying to get some food in our bellies and still calling and making sure we got both eyes open.
As the sunlight of day 11 slowly begins to fade, the flesh of another river salmon provides much-needed calories for the brothers' survival. Moose hunting remains the objective of this camp, but only time will tell if Salmon Camp can provide them with an opportunity at the mature bull moose they seek. Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Ammo to Go, and by these sponsors. It's the morning of day 13 in Southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer are spending their 5th day at Salmon Island. Since landing at the LZ almost 2 weeks ago, the brothers have made it downriver and through the bear-infested water of Bear Island, fished their way 8 miles to Spruce Valley before rafting 6 miles to the flooded Moss Camp and continuing their way downstream another 7 miles to their current location. As the cold winds from the north begin to blow, the urgency for Chris and Casey intensifies. Mornings in the bush usually start the same for the brothers. On this morning, Chris prepares another pot of coffee on the fire while Casey fishes the gravel run for some breakfast.
Just caught this big old hen right here. We're gonna get a little bit of breakfast going this morning. The weather's rolling in again. It's probably 5-10 degrees colder than it was yesterday. The wind is just whipping today. These clouds are rolling fast, raining on and off.
I'm fighting the heat here hard. Yeah, the wind, I think I'm using this to shield it, but it's taking forever to get this pot of coffee hot. Been down here for 35 minutes trying to get this thing to perk, and she just perked. Cup of hot coffee? Oh man.
In Alaska's rugged landscape, few things provide the morale boost that a simple hot cup of coffee does. It breathes life into the brothers and symbolizes a new day and the possibilities that it brings for success.
Looks like you got another salmon. Now if we could just see some moose and some bears. It's tough. This river's relatively unexplored in the last like 10 to 15 years, so break out the map here in a little bit, take a look at it and kind of figure out where we are and what we want to do from here.
With 2 fish successfully on shore all ready for the day, the brothers now focus on preparing them for shore lunch.
Well, basically what we got here is we got this hen silver, and Chris is filleting her open right now, and I just came over here with my box of beads because this is what we're using a lot of times for grayling and for dollies we're trying to catch out here. So I got a box of beads, and I'm just kind of comparing what the roe looks like that's inside of this hen to the roe that I've got here in my box, because what happens is when they deposit these eggs, they usually deposit anywhere from 2,500 to 4,500 eggs. So as they deposit them in their reds, they come out as a natural looking roe, a natural color, much like this one right here. And then the longer that they spend in the water, the more that they actually start to get mottled, and they'll end up lightening up in color, and they go from what's considered a live egg or a fresh egg to a dead egg. So if you can get on a red that has fresh eggs in it, you're going to want to use something that's more like this in color. It's a lot more true and natural to what's flowing out of that red. That's what the grayling and the dollies that are laying downriver of that red are going to be feeding on. And then the longer that nest has been filled with eggs, the more they're going to start to pale up and kind of go from a deep orange or almost a clear to like a white color similar to this. So look at that.
As a salmon's march to imminent death upstream continues throughout the fall, a female salmon's urge to dispense her eggs and reproduce drives her. Hen salmon can store hundreds of eggs inside their bodies, and after spawning, the eggs that have been fertilized successfully hatch in late winter or early spring. One half-pound fillet of a silver salmon has almost 300 calories, 42 grams of protein, 12 grams of fat, 2.5 grams of saturated fat, and 91 milligrams of sodium. All important factors in maintaining the energy of Chris and Casey throughout their journey. As the salmon fillets cook on the fire and the odor of hot meat fills the air in bear country, the brothers realize it serves as a dinner bell for surrounding predators. Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Realtree.
Bear, right there. Oh, it's Grizz. See him walking right there.
It's day 13 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer's breakfast has been interrupted by a grizzly.
Grizz. You see it? Side of the bank right there. We just swam out while we were cooking. Some of the dangers when you try to eat, you're cooking. Smoke fills the air. Where'd he go? Oh yeah, there he is. Grizz in camp. Cross back over onto our side of the river behind camp here somewhere. Good thing is the wind's going this way. Where he actually came from is where the wind's blowing, so let's get back to camp just in case we gotta protect camp. Keep it around.
As day 13 passes by at Salmon Island, it's becoming more evident that this location may not be an ideal location for rutting bull moose. With the full moon making an early evening appearance, Chris moves in on some ducks that flew over and lit in an oxbow behind camp.
What's up? Yeah. There was two of them, and I wanted to conserve shells, so I was trying to get them to line up so that there was just one shot. But this one was on to me. Duck meat, baby, right here. Let her open. That's a way to end a day right there.
With the 13th day of the trip almost in the books, the brothers' spirits are lifted with the opportunity to cook some red meat on the fire. As the temperatures in southwest Alaska continue to drop, the brothers know that the migration of waterfowl to the warmer southern climates is guaranteed. But for the still lingering mallards that made a stop at Salmon Island this particular evening, they are thankful. For the moment, Chris and Casey have an embarrassment of sustenance provided by Mother Nature, but they know things can change in a blink of an eye.
Roll with me till we're dizzy down these green grassy hills. Roll with me till we're dizzy down these green grassy hills, and we'll lay at the bottom, watch the bows spin. Get up, run to the tide.
This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Easton. It's the morning of day 14 in the wilds of southwest Alaska, and now 2 weeks into their journey, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer meet the new day with plans to pack camp and move downriver. With almost a week since their departure from the flooded Moss Camp, Chris and Casey have spent 6 days at Salmon Island, and although the camp has produced plenty of fish, the brothers have still yet to lay their eyes on a moose of any kind. Today is moving day, and the brothers are anxious to see new ground.
Time to move. We got a break in the weather, it looks like. Just play by the sign, what the sign tells us. If it looks like there's moose closer, then we'll stay closer. If it looks like there's nothing, we'll keep moving. So.
For every mile covered on this stretch of Alaskan river, Chris and Casey better their odds at finding their perfect moose camp. As the brothers break down their Arctic oven tent like they have so many times before, there are few words spoken. Chris and Casey are both starting to feel the pressure of finding moose. In an area on a recovery from a peak predator cycle, both brothers still have optimism, but they also have their doubts. 2 weeks into the Alaskan moose season, Chris and Casey have yet to locate a moose. Changing camps can offer the hope that may be lost during a tough hunt, and for the brothers, the thought of finding high ground is of the utmost importance. As they once again climb aboard their rafts and migrate downriver, the overcast day of the morning matches their moods. But the sun begins to burn its way through the cloud cover, and with it brings optimism to Chris and Casey. It's been 9 days since the brothers' satellite phone has stopped working, and communication to the outside world has been zero, including to their families, which is just confirmation that in Alaska, nothing is ever guaranteed. With each passing day, the moose rut intensifies, and their odds of getting a chance to take down a mature bull becomes greater. Every gravel bar filled with tracks and moose sign passed by gives the brothers confidence that the population in this area of southwest Alaska is healthy. As the end of the journey draws closer each day for Chris and Casey, they continue to focus on living minute to minute. And in remote Alaska, survival is never easy. But for the brothers, just like every journey, the underlying theme remains to get out safe and make it back to their families in one piece.
Amazing grace, what sweet a sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
We got elevation. This is about as best we're gonna get around here.
I feel like this is the last we're gonna get.
It is. You can tell it's gonna flatten way out down in here. We're gonna be in some heavy spruce country, but this is about it. It's a great spot though. As much as I don't want to give up elevation, I say we keep rolling down. Looks like the river straightens out over here. Hits that spruce down in there, and that's what we're looking for. So I think we ought to head down there for camp.
Find somewhere decent.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
It's day 17 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have decided to leave high ground and continue to move downriver to find a new camp. They've targeted an area that looks to provide everything a cruising bull moose would utilize during his rut cycle. But the topo map is telling them this is the last elevated section until extraction, and for the brothers, it's a risky move. They have decided to find a camp near thick cover, hoping to pull a rutting moose to them on the river. With dense willows stretching for miles along this river system, there's no guarantee the decision will work. Since their last camp at Salmon Island, Chris and Casey have traveled 10 miles downriver and found a new camp that looks to have what they're looking for.
Well, here we are again. We found another camp. That was a long day of rowing. We planned on going about 5 miles, and you get in on this river, and this river is a gorgeous river, but it is thick. It is so thick on both sides, and we're trying to find some spruce to land in, but we just couldn't. You know, it's just one of those things where we just had to keep moving. Ended up going about 10 miles today by raft.
We went a hell of a lot further than I wanted to go again. I don't know, man. You look at these maps, you study them, and it's like, then you hit the river, and it's like, the map's whatever. You know, you got to go with what the river gives you a lot of times. And we just pushed through a lot of good country today.
I'm ready to shoot a moose. We're dwindling days on the moose season here, but we're picking away at it one by one, surviving, doing what we do. It's been a great trip so far. I'm really excited to be out here. It's just gorgeous.
See, what happened is this area, about 10 years ago, went through a huge peak predator cycle. It peaked. The wolves, the grizzlies, the black bears, everything that was in here peaked. The caribou were basically decimated to the point where they're still not open to non-residents in here. And when they got done with the caribou, they moved on to the moose.
It's a good night. Sun's shining. I can't ask for anything more right now. Well, maybe one thing. I could ask for my wife, for Katie. If she was with me, I think I'd be a little better. And if my little girl Kylie was with me, I'd be a lot better. So,
in any hunt, you're always waiting for that turning point, that thing where it happens and the tides start to turn and everything starts to swing and fall into place and everything starts to go your way all of a sudden. And, you know, we haven't hit that as of yet. I don't know if we ever will hit that on this river.
One of the bad things that's happened so far is the satellite phone is dead. It's gone. There's no satellite phone. So I can't speak to them. I can send a spot, but I don't know if they're getting them. So I'm sure that they're just probably panicking. But, you know, I know they're okay. It's more or less for peace of mind for me to be able to just check in once a week and just say, hey, are you okay?
Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Tenzin, and by these sponsors. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Cabela's. It's day 18 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have found a new camp they've named Amen Bend. As the sun rises, so do the expectations. With no spruce in sight, Chris has found enough dry driftwood to start a fire. With cold temperatures moving in from the north, the warmth from a fire is a necessity in late September. Tinder from a combination of small sticks and dry grass mixed with a little hot air is the catalyst for heat on this particular morning.
Oh, it's a new morning, new camp. Sun is just rising behind me. I'm up early this morning trying to get after it. Just calling, raking from camp. We're looking for some big game today, some moose action. It's coming up on the heart of the rut. So I want to make sure that I'm cow calling and raking and grunting and doing everything I can to see if I can't get them. This land doesn't allow for you to go out and get into it. It's so thick you'd get turned around. Not only that, but you wouldn't even be able to shoot them. It's so thick. You got to get them to come to you. So I'm gonna get some coffee going early this morning. See if I can catch a couple grayling for lunch. Keep this party moving.
It seems like we are probably 30 miles into the actual float, 30 river miles
Yeah.
so far.
Yesterday we blew through a lot of river that we at least wanted to mark on there, but the problem was it got so snaky and windy and back alley back through some of that stuff. There's no way we could have stopped.
Oh, and with this high water, it's like even little gravel bars that normally would work,
Yeah.
they're overflowing with water because we've had so much rain. But really, it seems like the terrain changed at this break right here.
Yeah.
Like where this came through the chute, we had that little last bit of elevation,
Yeah.
and then it's like where that turned.
Yeah. Yeah, right after we climbed that top of that hill right there and got up and looked,
Yeah.
from there it just completely changed rivers.
Yeah, it's totally different. Even like the vegetation down here, like the willows and everything being so tight to the river.
I'll tell you another thing is it's gone from, in the past 2 days, it's fall. Just what I worry is there's only so many days left in moose season.
Yeah.
We've got this camp. We're only going to have the ability to go maybe 3-4 miles total
To set up.
to set another camp
Right.
before
Be
the
able
end
to
of moose
finish.
season, and then we're going to have 3 days to row out after season.
Right.
Because once we get to that point, that's where it's closed down right there.
Yeah, it shuts down. But if you look, this last bit right here
Yeah,
is a lot like where we were in season 1.
yeah. Somewhere right in here is where we need to spend our last days at camp, right where that other creek flows in.
Yeah, because this comes in, and then just south of that, or just north of that, there's another one that comes in.
And this is the point. This is the non-resident hunting starts right here.
No,
or
it
up
starts right here.
So we still
This
have
main
this.
channel right here.
Okay, so that's where we can't hunt.
Yeah, once this comes in, it's
Yeah.
shut down to non-res from there out.
So, the only thing I'm concerned about down here too is the salmon have run pretty hard up past here.
Yeah.
So food is going to get scarce here eventually. I mean, this is day one in this camp. It's going to get a little scarce. We got to hit this run and see if we can pick off some grayling and see if we can get a salmon in this deep stuff right here. I saw ducks fly in behind us, so I mean, we still have
Beaver pond.
some options, but I say just about every 30 minutes or 45 minutes we'll call from camp.
When death is your horizon and the life then you fade, your sharp tongue carves your destruction from the memories of me. Cavalcade. Time alone can heal nothing.
As the first full day at Amen Bend unfolds, the brothers go about their day separately. Almost 3 weeks into their journey, Chris and Casey have learned that alone time is essential to staying focused and sane in the wilds of Alaska. For the brothers, each one deals with adversity in a different way. And in this moment, the uncertainty of the moose population on the river system weighs heavily on both of their minds.
Lay down your burden.
There's less than a week left in Alaskan moose season, and they've yet to lay their eyes on a single moose. For Chris and Casey, the urgency to find a mature bull remains extremely high.
Every cell is a sun that's bursting. Every cry is a stone in the
The decision to leave high ground may have been a mistake, and it's becoming glaringly apparent that Amen Bend may not be the answer to the prayers Chris and Casey have been hoping for.
Another feast you will not eat.
Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Alaska Tent and Tarp. It's day 19 in Southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer are spending their second full day at a river camp they've named Amen Bend.
It's early in the morning, and I'm trying to get a fire going. We don't have much tinder around here. Frosted last night. Everything's pretty wet. But what I do have is we shot that duck a couple days ago, plucked the breast feathers and some of the tail feathers off him, and we kept it for tinder. So I reached back and got that stuff. That in conjunction with being able to strip the bark off some of these willows. I'm just stripping the bark, and it's coming out in these long pieces like this. So this is going to burn slow, and the feathers are going to burn fast. And those feathers burn fast and hot. And I think one of the biggest things is if you're out here you're trying to survive, make use of every part of what you get. And that's what we did with that duck.
As the morning sun continues to rise, Casey looks for rising grayling.
Day 3 without any sort of meal, really. I'm just out here on the edge looking to see if I can spot some grayling or some silvers or kind of anything through this water. You know, where we set camp is in a pretty good spot for moose and for bear, hopefully. But the water that goes through here is pretty flat and pretty featureless for the most part. So it's hard to kind of look and figure out, okay, where exactly the fish might be holding.
Well, it's day 2 in this camp. It's been an interesting camp for sure. You know, we've been calling for moose, see if we can get some big game down. What I'm really surprised about is the lack of other food sources.
5 days left in the moose season in the territory that we're in, and I'm starting to get a little nervous about the exploratory kind of moose hunt.
Now we're starting to think, did we do the right thing by choosing this river? That's a major part of when you're doing your do-it-yourself hunt, is choosing the river that you're on and doing your research.
You know, we've really got 2 missions when we're out here. Mission 1 is to make it from point A to point B over a set amount of time and to make it out unscathed. And, you know, so far we're kicking at that mission. But mission 2 is to try and kill a moose while we're out here, try and kill a black bear while we're out here, hopefully a wolf. And so far we're getting our kicked on that mission.
I know that no matter what, unless we kill a moose today, we're gonna push out in the morning and try and find another camp. I haven't had a shower since we've been out here. It's been forever. I'm just absolutely sick of it. My hair's starting to hurt. It's a beautiful sunny day, so I figured, what the heck, let's get something in. Oh, I'm not gonna soap up, but just the ability to do that, that feels good.
Going on almost 72 hours without a meal of any kind, Chris knows the fish under this stretch of river are the answer to both his and Casey's hunger pains.
I switched methods, sort of dry fly fishing. This is the guy I came up with. Not exactly the giant grayling of meat I was looking for, but either way, food's food, right?
vision to the eye.
This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by AXT. It's now day 20 in Southwest Alaska. In over 30 miles in their river journey, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have decided to move camps again. Since the LZ, the brothers have drifted through the grizzly-infested waters of Bear Island, fished down Spruce Valley, cut their way through several log jams between Moss Camp and Salmon Island, and now find themselves leaving the most unproductive camp of the trip, Amen Bend. Chris and Casey have identified an area just under 4 miles downriver from their current camp they feel can hold several moose. It's a game they continue to play, and with time running out on the moose season, the game they're playing is almost over. To make matters worse, they've hit a roadblock in the form of a log jam, and this time there's only one option: to portage to the main channel.
Dude, I walked that whole thing over there. There's nowhere to sneak through.
No, I started just portaging stuff across right here. This is probably the shortest distance that I could find to the next main channel, so.
And that all looks, it's gonna be skinny back through there once we get into it, but.
Let's get the last of the stuff over, and then we'll just take the rafts, carry them up over, repack it, hit the road again.
After an hour of packing and repacking, the brothers have found the main channel and floated into a section of river holding several fish, and going on 3 days without a meal, they take the time to wet a line.
Funny because we came around after that jam and it's just that little pocket right there. There's a couple of salmon holding in it and those grayling were just behind them.
Yeah, I saw them when we floated over top, and I'm glad we stopped, because that's, at least we got something. It's been 2 days.
3
days, you're right.
3 days.
So we got to get some food in this. This will be day 3. I say we just pick food off all the way along looking for moose sign.
I'll find a duck, big old fat hen.
Oh. We got grayling for right now though.
With each sunrise and sunset, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer inch closer to a reunion with their families. But 3 weeks into the moose season, they've yet to see a moose.
Cover me in moonshine.
In the wilds of Alaska, opportunities aren't given, they have to be earned. At this point in their journey, the brothers have to wonder when they've earned that right to see a moose. For Chris and Casey, the trip hasn't happened the way they planned up to this point. But they know in Alaska, nothing ever happens like it's planned. It's part of what the brothers prepare for before each 4-week journey every fall.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
was just getting the fish going. We were sitting here and we heard a moose call. Couldn't tell if it was a bull or if it was a cow. But it's back here. Trying to hear it again. I called just one cow call. There it is again. That's it right there. It's over here. Rake. We need a rake. Just trying to bring that. Casey, bring that 50 cal. My pine out. Grab the tradition, just in case. But I want to shoot one.
It's the evening of day 21 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have finally located their first moose. Floating 10 miles from their last camp, Amen Bend, the brothers have found a new camp on a thick willow bank they've named the Zoo.
Yeah, hold on.
Minutes from settling into the new location, Chris and Casey are in pursuit.
Into that bull. Yeah. I'll start dropping back. Just get to where you can see it down the bull or better rangefinder. Yeah, I got my rangefinder. Come back to that open shoot right there.
With the moose rut now in full swing, bulls and cows become more vocal, which gives Chris and Casey an opportunity to find a pocket in the willow-choked riverbank to call the bull into. Dropped. Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Tenzin, and by these sponsors. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Cabela's.
It sounded like a cow call, but it didn't say.
It's day 21 in southwest Alaska, and as the sun begins to set, brothers Chris and Casey Keefer are in pursuit of their first bull of this year's moose season.
Moose call. Cow call. Why did he turn? What did he see? He was, you know, he went as he was coming right down the lane. He rounded that corner right there. He's gonna walk right through. See his blind sides. See him all right, and that's when he caught our wind. Man, he was 20 or not even 10 yards from death. If he had came 10 steps further, I had a full lane right down this gravel bar. Well, we picked the right camp. Yeah. They gotta be right in here. This has to be like that. He's not the only bull in here, I guarantee you that. It's just like we're running out of daylight. Yeah, let's just leave him be.
Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Drop Project Alaska is brought to you by Realtree. This morning, the sun is just cracking right now. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to get up. Last night, that cow was calling throughout the night. I can hear her back in here. She called a couple more times, which is good. I'm pretty sure that like last night when that bull was coming in, he either chased another younger bull or that cow started to leave and he took off after her. Didn't want Casey, who was the bull, to come in on it. So I'm pretty sure something happened right there that didn't mess us up because we got back to camp. It was about 45 minutes later. She's calling, he's grunting. We could hear him sloshing through the water. They're in this area. And they'll
they'll stay in this area. They're not going to go very far. They'll be within earshot. But I don't want to call just blind now. I want to see if I can hear her call. So I got to crack of daylight, see if I can't get things going.
It's the morning of day 22 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have less than a week left in the moose season. Since leaving from the LZ, Chris and Casey have battled their way through over 50 miles of an abandoned river system absent of men for over a decade.
Casey's taking one of the oars, and he's got a fashion on the other side so he can put his call on there. That way when we go through the brush, he just banging brush the whole time. But that cow called last night. We can hear them running around back in here. They're not far. We just got to go find them. We're not going to venture too far, obviously. You don't want to kill one 3 miles away, but at this point the river runs all the way up and around. You can use these rafts for anything, so we're going to try and get back in here. Start kind of finding areas. I'm taking the PSE with me, so I want to make sure we can find a pocket. Like last night, he'd walk 6 yards in front of me. 6 yards. But I think he had a cow with him. She took off and he went after her, so. Man's right. We can stay quiet if we go here. I think we can cut right there.
With high moose activity all night around them, Chris and Casey know at any moment the opportunity to take down a mature moose could happen at any second. 3 weeks of anticipation is finally mounting. Signs of fresh bull moose rutting activity is everywhere, but the longer Chris and Casey go without a response to their calling, the lower their probability is of locating the bull.
I think we should go back. We need to stop at that last opening and cow call. Let's see if we can get his attention, you know what I mean? Yeah. All right, let's go.
As the morning wears on, the brothers become more concerned the bull could be gone. Each hour that passes inches the brothers closer to the end of moose season in Alaska. What was thought to be their best opportunity to connect on a mature bull has vanished into the thin, cold fall air. Several miles of river is yet to be covered, rich with thick moose habitat, and as time runs out, Chris and Casey begin to feel the pressure for the first time. It's a place they'd been several times before, but for some reason, it feels different this time to the brothers. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Easton. It's the afternoon of day 22 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer are in search of the bull that eluded them less than 24 hours before. After 8 hours of calling from multiple locations, the brothers have decided to head back to camp.
Got in this camp last night unexpectedly. We knew it was a good spot. We found a lot of sign as we're setting up camp. I just threw a salmon fillet on the fire. It was the one that we caught along the way. gonna get a little meal in our bellies, and heard a cow call, just got after it. Called back with a couple of grunts, and next thing you know, we had a bull bearing down on us. We were trying to cut him off and cut the distance in half, get closer to him as he was getting closer to us, and next thing you know, he was probably, I don't know, 60 yards or so from me. It was just all, it was chaotic, it was fast, it was quick, it was awesome though. We got the heart pounding, blood was pumping. It's getting towards that time where he was out and about last night, so we're just gonna keep calling, get after it. Probably tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the day that I killed my moose the last 2 years in a row, so I'm hoping tomorrow's a lucky 18. Ready to rock and roll. See what happens. Hopefully it's just a matter of time now. We're gonna sit here, wait it out, call, keep calling. We're not gonna get too adventurous and go back in there. We're just gonna kind of play it safe. Stay out on the edge here more, and you never know with that cow back in there calling the way she is and that bull. Who knows, we could have 5 other bulls show up here. Here we sit, 3 years in a row on the exact same day with no moose down. Nothing. That's frustrating. Can we pull off a miracle? I have no idea.
Times are changing. Now I'm getting tired of just blowing in the wind. I have traveled, story of my life, wondering where I'll stay at night. I think I'm losing my mind. Nothing stays the same and can't run forever, and I'm turning gray from brown. I'm gonna find a place in a small town, time to live a simple life, and that will suit me just fine.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight, see her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
I mean, we're looking at about 8 to 10 river miles that we have to work with left. We got 2 days left in moose season. I say strategy-wise, let's pack up, let's hit the rafts, and let's just stop and call, stop and call, stop and call, all the way until dark tonight, and then just find a place to pop the tent. If we have to do the same thing tomorrow, we will, but we got to cover some ground and call and really get into it and cover this last stretch and these last 2 days of season. They're in rut. I mean, it's no question they're in rut, so I don't know. What do you think about that? Just popping through and just take our time going down through here, pull over on every bank, on every bar we think there's a sign on.
No, just pick through the sign and call and wait. You know, wait half hour, 40 minutes after you call, see if we get any kind of reaction or response, do some raking.
Yeah.
Anything. I mean, we got the last ditch effort for 2 days.
It's the morning of day 24 in southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer have made the decision to pack up and move downriver after spending 2 days at their current camp, the zoo. With only 2 full days of moose season left, the brothers' plan to cover as much ground as possible is one they both agree on. Preparing the rafts with the gear for a day on the river has become second nature to Chris and Casey, and with 10 miles between them and extraction, the hopes of finding a mature Alaskan bull this season is completely up in the air. Just a mile into their float, the brothers run into yet another obstacle. The recent flood has pinched the mouth of the river with downed trees, creating an extremely strong current. With a mature willow blocking the route, Chris and Casey cut it down to avoid a potentially dangerous situation. With a heavy undercurrent, capsizing the raft and losing everything is a reality. Every precaution must be taken in the backcountry of Alaska. And even with the moose season dwindling down by the second, sneaking through this obstacle without evaluating the situation at hand to save time isn't worth the risk just to gain a few extra minutes in moose season. Two miles downriver, the brothers locate a gravel bar filled with moose sign. With each failed calling sequence, reality sets in for Chris and Casey. The brothers know that their chance at an Alaskan bull is dwindling. As they wait, both brothers reflect on what could have been just days prior.
I'm a man on the rail, working my fingers to the bone. In the hills of West Virginia, coal mining union born. Our family's been here in the holler well over a century now. Yes, our blood runs through the valley. Moonshine runs in this town.
There are never guarantees in Alaska, and this season has been the toughest yet. But the game's not quite over for Chris and Casey.
Carrying on an old Appalachian song. Don't mind if I do.
Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Ammo to Go, and by these sponsors. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Cabela's. As dawn breaks on day 25, a heavy frost accompanies the rising sun. The brothers spent all of day 24 on the river with their eyes on their current location for the final camp. Just 4 miles from extraction, Desperation Camp allows for the brothers to maximize the final day of moose season in an area rich with sign. Just like the previous 24 mornings, the day begins the same. The daily chores in the Alaskan bush never end, but as the journey wears on, living long days outdoors makes one more wise to certain tasks. This morning, Chris uses coals from the wood stove in the tent as a quick fire starter outside. A few spruce boughs generate the heat needed for the day's first cup of coffee.
this being the last day of moose season, I mean, all we can do is sit here and do our best, call, pray. We get a moose to come in. This terrain doesn't allow you to go, you know, get after it very much. There's no elevation, so you can't get up and look. That's tough. You can't get back in these willows. That's even harder because it's too loud, too noisy. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's not about a kill shot. Dropped has never been about a kill shot. It's not about killing an animal. It's about the fact that we survived off the land. We went over 50, 60 river miles. We have lived off of ducks and fish and everything that this unbelievable God's country has provided us. We've lived off of, and that's what Dropped is about. We say be alive, we mean be alive. I can't take this away as a bad thing because we don't have a kill shot on a moose. Think about what we saw in the past 20 plus days. This is ridiculous. I'm loving life here in Alaska. Now today we just wait. We keep calling, we keep doing it. Sure, it's a bonus, but it doesn't have to be a kill shot. That's not what Dropped is about. Today is the 20th of September, officially the last day of moose season where we are. And we haven't killed a moose yet. We haven't killed a black bear yet. Haven't seen a wolf. Haven't killed a wolverine, so right now we're eating a giant tag sandwich, which sucks bad. Well, we got to this camp last night. It's a good camp. I feel like there's a lot of sign here. We got a lot of moose tracks all up and down this bar. We got some trees that are shredded. So I know that there's a moose in the area. It's just a matter of getting one in tight, in close, and being able to hear them. You know, and those experiences of having a moose bear down on you, you know, look at you eye to eye, coming right in, running trees over, raking trees, grunting at you. I mean, you feel it in your chest. It's such an intense experience that, you know, I love doing it, absolutely love doing it. Your instincts tell you want to just go for it, you want to go out there, but you can't get in. It's so thick in this river. It's so different than being in the Brooks Range, and I think it's not conducive to go in there and get after it, because even if you got in there, call something, you can't shoot them. You can't see more than 5 yards in front of you, so there's something to be said for just being out here. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, today is officially the last day of moose season, and you know, I haven't taken a moose yet, and neither is Chris, and I'm, in some strange sort of way, I'm okay with that.
Yes, I've been gone so long. Yes, I've been gone.
Closed captioning for Dropped Project Alaska has been brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by AXT. It's the afternoon of day 25 in Southwest Alaska, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer's opportunity to locate a mature bull are numbered. With only hours left in the moose season, Chris calls near camp hoping a lovesick bull can hear him in the willow-choked distance. The lower the sun sets, the more desperate the calling, and as darkness nears, few words are spoken between the brothers back at camp. Anxiously listening for the grunt of a mature bull or moan of a lonely cow, Chris and Casey feel helpless. Sunset marks the end of the moose season, and they both realize, with the inevitable end just hours away, it also marks the beginning of the countdown to see their families, who they lost communication with almost 3 weeks ago.
Lonely road to travel, a heart made of stone. Trapped inside this prison, where does time go? I've been searching so long. I've been singing the same old song so long. So long. I wander in a valley full of empty dreams, full of bones of lives past by. What does it all mean? I've been searching for so long. I've been singing the same old song.
Moose season has now ended, and as the sun of day 26 rises, Chris and Casey look ahead to the 4 miles that separates them from the extraction. Unable to communicate with their pilots since early September, the predetermined point of extraction is the brothers' next stop. Hoping no plans have changed, Chris and Casey board their rafts for one last push on this stretch of Alaskan river. This segment of Dropped Project Alaska is brought to you by Alaska Tent and Tarp. It's extraction day, and brothers Chris and Casey Keefer are making their final push to the coordinates of a gravel bar 4 miles downriver. Since being dropped at the LZ almost 4 weeks ago, Chris and Casey have survived the 60-mile stretch of river that has been unmanned for over a decade. 8 camps and 4 weeks of living in the rugged terrain of Alaska have robbed the brothers of over 20 pounds of muscle each. As they unpack the gear at extraction, it's once again a bittersweet moment for them both. It marks the end of an amazing story and adventure, and also the beginning of the journey back home to their families. Once the gear is unloaded, it becomes a waiting game, praying for good weather in the mountains and listening for the low hum of a Piper cub in the distance.
When you're carrying stuff onto the pickup, the extraction point, it's tough, man. You come out here and live out here for so long, and then you realize in the blink of an eye it's over and you're headed back.
Well, it's time for that bittersweet moment again. It's the pickup on the drop. It's one of those things where you never think you're going to reach the end, and then when you reach the end, you wish you had it. You wish you can keep moving, keep going, just keep seeing what this land has to offer. That's the best part about Alaska, is you never know what's around the next bend. And I think that's one of the things with drop that's always going to be an adventure, because we are unguided and we're in territories that we don't necessarily get explored quite often.
Even though I didn't get to kill a moose or a bear, wolf, wolverine, anything while I was out here. That's not what the trip was about. The trip is always about just being out here and being on the experience of a lifetime.
This river was a river that we picked because people hadn't been in here in a long time, and all the research that we'd done. Not a lot of animals have been killed out of here. It was a predator control area for a long time, but it's something where we wanted to challenge ourselves. It was an intimate river. It was different than anything we've ever done, and that's why we wanted to do it. We didn't want to do it because it held trophy moose or it held trophy bears. We wanted to do it because it was a challenge.
You know, the odds were stacked against us from the beginning, and I have zero regrets. Having been out here and done this, I have zero regrets. And I'm really looking forward to the future and one day when I can battle this river again.
This moose season presented Chris and Casey with many ups and downs, but in the end, for the brothers, it's about spending time together and being alive again in Alaska's backcountry.
It's been such a long time since I've been home. Can't seem to remember the days of gold. I've seen the darkness with my 2 eyes. Bury me in the earth if I go blind.
Play number 1 on the ground.
I'm a soul survivor. Yes, I am alive. Somewhere here forever. No, I ain't gonna die. I'm a soul survivor. Yes, I am alive. Somewhere here forever. No, I ain't gonna die.
Yeah, that'll work out good. Brother? See ya. All right, man.
I'm not afraid of dying.
On the other side, over on the other.
I don't wanna go. The sheds are great today, and I won't be tomorrow. So I better get moving on down the dark dirt trail. If you wanna see the sweet sunshine, then you got to go through some hell. Yeah, 'cause I'm a soul survivor. Yes, I am alive. Somewhere here forever. No, I ain't gonna die. I'm a soul survivor. Yes, I am alive. Somewhere here forever. No, I ain't gonna die. No, I ain't gonna die. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm a soul survivor. Yes, I am alive. Somewhere here forever. And no, I ain't gonna die. I'm a soul survivor. Yes, I am alive. Somewhere here forever. And no, I ain't gonna die. Ain't gonna die.
I missed you.
I missed you too!
Amazing grace, what sweetest sight to see her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
Over the last 3 years, Chris and I have been pretty fortunate to go on a lot of different hunts. Dropped has taken us to a lot of different places across North America. Every single place is unique, and it seems that every trip has its own special character that we take part in each fall.
I think when we started this project out 3 seasons ago, we didn't realize what it was actually going to become and what it actually meant to us.
Sure.
And over the years, it's kind of evolved into what we like to call Be Alive.
Yeah, you know, Be Alive is something that we came up with during season 1 of Dropped. And I think at the time we really didn't know exactly what Be Alive meant, but we knew that we wanted to get out there, live off the land, do our thing, and just experience every day a fresh start every single morning.
Yeah, for me, Be Alive wasn't about actually physically being alive. It was about living for the moment. It was about being alive in that exact moment, being out here in the middle of nowhere and just experience what God's country has to offer and just literally living up every single moment while you're out there and what makes you get up every single day. That's what Be Alive means to me.
Right, and you know, I like to tell people all the time when they ask about Be Alive that it doesn't have a set meaning, and I think that's what's pretty unique about the whole Be Alive concept is it's whatever Be Alive means to you that makes it special. You know, I know for me it brings up memories of the first caribou, the bull that we called Maniac during season 1. I think for me that was my, you know, my Be Alive moment. That moment for me was more special probably than any hunt that I've ever been on, and it's not that other hunts aren't memorable and special, but I think taking down Maniac during season 1, from that point forward, we knew that Dropped was a reality and that we had something that we could really latch on to and continue to do every fall.
Right here on the bar, about 100 yards.
Nice. Yes. Drilled him, baby. Smoker. Drilled him.
On top of the world. From down there.
Oh my Lord.
It's right there. Maniac.
Crushed him, dude. Oh, yes.
Maniac.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
We started.
Oh, it just drilled him. We started all the way at camp, way across where that other peak is this morning.
It's emotional.
And we just smoked a mountain caribou.
Man, look at this.
That's surreal. I did not think we were gonna make that happen. I mean, we came 4:19. 5 hours almost. 5 hours.
Well, let's put it this way, camp.
Oh, the camp is by that peak.
Down at the base of that peak.
That is old Maniac. That is a caribou that we've been watching for 2 days. Dude, that was awesome.
Oh, that's one for the ages, right for the books, Joe.
That is how you hunt mountain caribou in Alaska. Not to mention, today is my son's first birthday. Pretty sweet. That's awesome. That's for Ryder. Let's get our hands on him.
Caribou make a grown man weep.
Worked for that one.
Oh, man.
Plus, I was getting sick of blueberries and grayling. Oh, food.
Dropped, a look back is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, rage, Trimble, traditions, ammo to go, and by these sponsors. This segment of Dropped, a look back, is brought to you by TrueFire.
Well, you know, as we're sitting up here talking about some of our most memorable hunts, obviously mine was the caribou. Being on Ryder's first birthday, you know, I knew that morning if I was going to miss his first birthday, I was sure as hell going to make it worthwhile. And, you know, we certainly did that. It took a lot of pressure off, but we ran into some high pressure situations a little bit later on in the hunt, obviously, which is where one of your memorable hunts comes into play.
Yeah, it is. It's the first moose that I ever took, which was the 64-inch moose in Alaska. It was 18 days into the trip and 2 days without food.
Yeah.
And so to get that moose to come into camp, we were at Prayer Point. We had blown through some serious territory. It was just one of those things where it all came together for us, and it was my first moose in the bush.
Right.
And I'll never forget that moment he stepped out on that rock bank.
He's looking right at us. You ready? He's big. You ready? Yep. All right. Yep. Kill him. Yes! 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 Out of camp, baby! Yes! Out of camp! Yes! Oh my God! Dude, out of camp! Dude, I was sitting there after I called, and I just heard, and I turned around, and here you go, through the trees, dude, all day long. Crushed him. We've been sitting here. Okay, listen. We're gonna go for the bow, but we're out of meat. He was coming, but you know what? We got a bull down right there on the other side of the river. We don't have to pack him. He's right there. We took him, 300 short mag on the ground, baby. Let's go. Oh, he's a beautiful moose, dude. He's legal. Oh, absolutely. Beautiful. We were sitting there. I literally 5 minutes ago gave some cow calls. We were sitting there, and I was literally sitting there drinking coffee, and I just heard, whoa. And I turned around, and I just see him coming through the brush, just tearing through the brush. Dude, we crushed him. Oh, that's amazing. That is an Alaskan moose on the ground, dude. Oh, look at that. Look at the size of that bull. That's a monster. Dude, we did it. We did it. That is a monster bull.
This segment of Dropped, a look back, is brought to you by Easton. This segment of Dropped, a look back, is brought to you by Realtree.
Okay, so we get a lot of emails and a lot of questions that come through about what do we do once we get an animal down and what do we do with the meat.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference between a float trip in Alaska and trying to get meat out on a horse in the Yukon.
Oh, there's a huge difference. I mean, both of them have their challenges. You know, horses, you got pack boxes and they blow up and everything else, and rafts, you got to drag over gravel. But when you're out here, you know, you have to take special care of the meat because we're living off of it. You know, that's not the case with whitetail hunts and stuff like that a lot of times, but when you're out here, you have to take care of it. It's the law, it's the right thing to do, and that's a huge part of what dropped is. It's really, hunting is not the big chore when we're out here. It's taking care of the meat.
Yeah, there's some tools that you just can't live without. You got to have a thermometer while you're out here, and you got to learn how to build the proper meat cache, which will make or break you in the end. Keeping it cool, keeping it dry, keeping it out of the rain, that's a huge thing. And then one little secret that we have that we want to make sure we tell everybody is citric acid.
Yeah, citric acid is a huge tool for us when we're out here. Citric acid basically comes in a powder form. You know, we mix it up with water when we're out here, and we just spray a fine mist over the meat. It helps to create that crust layer that the flies can't penetrate. It really is a great tool, and no matter what, we have to take care of the meat, and citric acid's a huge step for us. You know, what's a little bit different about dropped, again, is we're out here 30 days, you and I, staring at the same faces all day, every day. It's gonna get old, it's gonna get funny. It's, you know, it's always something fresh, and we've definitely had our funny moments.
Where is it?
It's in my lip. Oh, you're bleeding now.
Second time.
Who
Second
takes all the
time.
line out and tangles it around in here?
Well, I'm tying a fly on.
No. There. You should be able to slide it out now.
Is it pinched?
Yeah, go ahead and try and slide it out. There you go. She's out. It's not that bad. I mean, it could have been a treble hook.
Man survives severe windstorm and snowstorm in the Yukon, dies of metal poisoning from a fish hook to the lip.
You always have them in your lip every time I go to walk by.
I can tell you one thing, no matter how many times you hook me in the lip, I will always have your back in a hay bear situation.
Man, I'll tell you, we've had some tense moments when it comes to bears. We've had some serious encounters, but there's nothing like hay bear.
No, you've got to remember when you're out here that you're not in control.
No.
I mean, you're a small part of what's going on out here, probably the smallest part of what's going on out here, and you've got to respect Mother Nature, and you've got to respect, you know, king of the mountain, which is obviously the grizzly bear.
I'll never forget waking up to having that hot breath of a giant grizzly bear no more than a foot from my face. And what it was like when my ticker started pounding. And that whole moment I can relive moment for moment for moment. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's one of those moments that, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it feels like it was an hour, and it's really probably 45 seconds of pure terror. What the hell's gonna go on from here?
Case, what? Do you hear that? It's a bear. It's a bear. Right outside the tent. Hey. It's right here. You hear it? Where's it at? It's right.
Hey.
Close. Yes. Hey.
Hey, bear. Bear. Hey.
He's walking right here. Is he coming down? I think he's over here. Oh, here's my light right here. Listen, I think he's over here. Yeah, he's right here. He's out this side. You got your gun? I gotta find my gun. I can't find anything there. Right here. Listen. Should we go out?
Hey, bear.
It's right there.
Hey, bear.
I'm sweating right now. My heart is pounding. Like it is cold in here and I'm sweating. So close. Oh, that is not how I wanted to wake up.
Closed captioning for Dropped, A Look Back is brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped, A Look Back is brought to you by Cabela's.
Well, Chris, let's get back to some of the hunts. Let's get back and touch on some of those high points that we've had over the years. And I think another one of the highest of highs for me personally would be the sheep that I took in the Yukon on season 2.
Yeah, I can remember when we first got to the Yukon, we had just a limited amount of tags. And I remember in there putting all the animals in a hat and drawing to see who was going to shoot what. It was kind of one of those let's be fair about it moment.
Yep.
And you drew the coveted sheep, which is an amazing hunt. And to date, even though I didn't actually take a sheep, I was with you the whole time. It was probably one of the hardest hunts, if not the hardest hunt that I know we've ever been on.
Sheep hunting is definitely one of those hunts that you realize when it finally all comes together why you did what you just did.
Well, and this ram in particular, we had encounters with, and we had that fog encounter with him where we all the way up the mountain, get right up there, and he disappears like a ghost.
Yep.
And so to continue on that trek and to continue staying up on the mountain and making the decision, do we come down, do we stay? That was a big decision for us, and I'm glad we made the decision we did by pushing forward, pushing on, and at the last little bit of energy that we had, we got to within shooting distance. And I just remember that feeling that came over when you dropped that ram. It was really to tears because it was such an exciting moment for us. I'll never forget it.
Yep.
Again. Nailed him, Casey.
Again?
Yeah, shoot him again. Come this way. So come up on that little knob, okay, right where he's bedded?
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna make it up there.
Yeah, there he is. 300, Casey. Nailed him! You dropped him, man.
Nice shot. Ram. Oh, man.
You hit them both.
Oh, did we work for him? Woo! Oh, dumped him. Oh, I put my 330 pin on him twice and just boom. I hit him the first time for sure.
Hair flying.
Yeah, and then the second, I didn't think he was gonna make it up the hill. When he did, I chested him and just
It was
kaboom.
Like it was right to where he was bedded. Nice.
Oh man, dude, nice work.
Logan,
Nice work.
big props, brother.
Bro,
Way to stick it
nice
out.
job.
Boys.
Fellas,
Stick it out.
a stone sheep in the Yukon after
That's a big ram, man.
days and days and miles and miles. Nice work. That is a Yukon stone sheep right there.
Nice ram, man.
For the ages.
You see him holding his leg?
Yeah.
That hurt leg?
Yeah.
What a ram to take.
Check that out. Hold him. Look at that. That's a big old ram, man. How old?
12 and a half.
12 and a half.
Easy to count, 12 and a half.
That's an old ram. Logan, nice work, dude.
You too, boys.
That's sweet. What a ram, bro. Nice job, brother. Nice shooting. Thanks. That first one hopped him, eh?
Boys.
That first one hit him.
Congratulations, Case.
That's awesome, man.
Guys, that's a heck of a ram.
Look at that.
There he is, right there.
That is a beautiful, beautiful phantom sheep
On
in
Pops'
northern Yukon.
On Pops' birthday, man. Something about birthdays. Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Dad. Without him, we probably wouldn't be out here hunting.
Nope, not a chance.
That's it. We'll get you into it.
In a quest that began at birth, Another peak is reached in the brothers' journey. But tonight, underneath the moonlit sky, they work together in silence. Few words are spoken as they cape and quarter the ram, and although they're thousands of miles from their families, they finally feel at home.
Okay, so we've had our highs, we've had our lows, we've had our memorable moments, but I think it goes back to what is Dropped. Dropped is not just hunting show. It's not just a hunting television show at all.
No.
It's an adventure. It's about being alive again. It's about just showing that story, what happens over the course of time when you put two brothers in the bush.
Yep.
But I really, really come back to that be alive.
Yeah, be alive is not just an adventure for me, it's a lifestyle. You know, I like living my life knowing that every single day is going to offer me something different. And I think that's a big part of what we do out here. You have no idea what you're in store for. Every day is its own animal, and you've got to be ready to take that day head on.
I think if we can inspire one person to look at them and say, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yep.
Today, I'm going to get off the couch. I'm going to get after it. I'm going to live my life today for what it is. I think then this show is successful.
Absolutely.
Amazing grace, what sweet sight. See her dressed in white. I once was lost, but now I'm found through her amazing grace and a soft cotton lace.
Well, Chris, being out in the middle of nowhere filming Dropped, we really have the easy job. I like to think of it that way. You know, we've got the job of, you know, building the fires, keeping the tent warm, killing the animal, providing the meat, all that kind of stuff. I think where things get tough is when it comes to the production of the show.
A lot of people think that we have a crew of about 15 people behind us in tents eating cheeseburgers, but I gotta be honest, we've got a crew of 2, and they do the exact same thing we do, except they have the tedious task of logging cards and transferring footage, and number one, keeping the batteries going.
Oh, the
that
solar
in
stuff
itself is a nightmare.
Yeah, the solar stuff is incredible. You know, producing any television show and capturing the essence of the hunt is hard in any environment. But out here, it's especially tough.
And some of our favorite moments come from watching the camera guys do what they do, and the stuff that they have to go through behind the scenes. That's the fun part.
We've probably climbed 1,000 feet in the last 20 minutes. Keep pushing forward. See if we can get our eyes on some more sheep. This piece of equipment is the most vital for telling this story. We couldn't do it without this digiscoping. There's no way. Producing a show that's based on chronological events is you gotta make each day count. You gotta make each day mean something. If I'm not fresh climbing this mountain, it'll be dangerous. Up in front of us, they're literally standing there waiting. I don't care. Anybody that thinks that running camera on a hunt like this is a walk in the park, you got another thing coming, man. Well, this is what all this work, this is what it all comes together. Now we have to work as a team, everybody together to make sure this happens the right way. We did it, man. We laid it down. We laid out a great story. Heading into moose country now. I think we've got 3.5 episodes in the can. Here we are, day 17. We're trying to capture the elements of fall up here, up in the Yukon, and winter's coming soon. We got hit with a pretty heavy snowstorm last night. Tops of a lot of these mountains are covered in snow. First grizzly of the trip. Running the digiscope right now with the D5100. He's a cool bear, man. We've got a story, we've built the segment, we're gonna use it, man. I mean, this is the real hunting out here. This is a saga of 2 guys trying to, you know, kill the Yukon Slam. So far, we've got 1. Got a long ways to go. I reached back, I had this 5D in a saddlebag,
and it was filling up with water, so I grabbed it and threw it to Chris. He was running the GoPro at the time and he caught it. Put a bow tie around this today. We did what we came to do. Over 200 hours of video. We had ups, we had downs. That's what it's all about. That's what this project is all about. Project Yukon. It was a good one. Can't wait till next year.
Morale is down. Oh. And when morale gets down, you've got to bring morale back up. And the only way I see to bring morale back up is to become Black Spider-Man.
Who's this guy?
And if you're Black Spider-Man, anything is possible.
This is called horse mounting in the Yukon. Go.
There you go. Here we go. He's looking funny, Anthony.
I like that you go this way, dive. And that's the conclusion of mounting Yukon.
Production crew around here deserves the A1 treatment all the time. So my job, I just take executive producers like Jason Brown and just tote him around.
Cut! Action! Action! No cut! Go wide with it! Cut!
That sinkhole was a memory that I definitely will never forget. That was a dangerous moment, and I'm not sure that if Jameson, the cameraman, if he would not have lifted or bench pressed that horse out of there,
Clean and jerk.
we still may be in that sinkhole.
No, that was actually pretty scary at the end of the day, because when we rode a couple more hours and we got into camp, he was actually, he was peeing blood for days.
Yeah, and it led to a pretty scary moment because we didn't know if we were going to have to get him out of there or not. And luckily, over the course of 48 hours, it healed himself. But that was a pretty dangerous moment, knowing that he actually hurt himself that bad trying to get that horse out of that mud.
It all goes back to horses for me. That's certainly not where any of the mishaps end, because horses in the field are always entertaining.
No, it's one thing to float a camera down a river on a raft and the guys can actually have a little bit of space. But when we got on horses, things changed completely. And Jason Brown, him and a horse, that kept me entertained every single day. And the fact that him and Abby, one particular horse,
Yeah.
they had their moment.
Oh yeah, they had a moment.
Hey! You Hold on. Hey! Come on, you It's stirrup. You mother Okay. My horse is gone. Yeah. That just tops. So, oh, there he's wild back there. Where is he now? Yeah, he went with the rest of the horses. See, that's why cameraman gets worked. Oh, I gotta go find my horse.
Dropped. A look back is brought to you by Buck Knives, PSE Archery, Scentlock, Nikon, Rage, Trimble, Traditions, Tenzin, and by these sponsors.
Chris, a little bit earlier you had touched on what it's like to float a river versus ride a horse, which brings up the age-old question of transportation, not just out here in the bush, but getting here in the first place.
Well, one of our locations, it took us 9 flights through civilization from the biggest plane of, a 757 Boeing all the way down to a Super Cub and a Helio. There's a lot of trust you have to put in pilots just to get out here.
Oh, yeah.
And then once you get out here, that is when the really hard stuff, that's where that falls.
Yeah, I mean, we've been stuck in airplane hangars for days on end waiting for weather to change. There's always the age-old question of, you go on the first flight into the bush, is the pilot coming back out to get me that same day, or is the weather going to move in? I mean, there's so many variables, and just the amount of gear that we have to travel with to produce this show out here. I mean, we've always got a pile of gear at airports and everything else, but it always seems like when we finally get on the ground, you want to wipe away those transportation worries, but then you've got the rafts and the horses.
Yeah, and for me, I'm gonna say that even though I've had some seriously wicked moments in a raft, I prefer a raft over a horse any day. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like horses, because I do love horses.
Oh, yeah.
But the ease of getting in a raft and having that control of being able to move when you want, and I gotta be honest, not being able to get up in the morning and chase down my raft, that's a big thing. And you don't have to feed a raft.
That's right.
That's another big thing.
Yeah, that's a huge worry. I mean, if you remember back in season 2 when we were in the Yukon, we got snowed on September 9th, and the horse feed started dwindling and dwindling fast. And believe it or not, that really does dictate where, when, and how you move out here in the bush, because the horse's health comes first.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing, but I'll tell you what, when they are in their element, they are useful.
Oh yeah.
I go back to when you shot your moose in the Yukon, and we had to use them. That was one of the first times we had to pack out with them, and seeing how strong they are, how much meat you can put on them, and each one of them has their own personality, but we were able to utilize them when you took down your moose in the Yukon.
Yep.
You guys want to sneak up and try and get closer to him? He's probably going to come around the side of that hill. We'll stay right here with the horses. He's got good fronts on him. Cool fronts.
At over 480 yards in the distance, the big bull now has the advantage. It's decision time. In his mind, Casey begins to run through the distance, the elevation, and the wind direction.
They went around the edge. I can't see Casey. He's got to be getting some elevation. 285 yards. 285. All right, he's coming up on that hill right there behind those trees. Oh, there's a good opening. He stopped right there. He's ready. Yep. He got him. First one right there. Oh, he's got him the second time right there. That was good. Third shot. Come on. Come on. Go down. Go down. Down. Down.
Oh man. That's a tough animal, man. We spotted that moose when we were coming down the trail right there. He came down, he was laying out here in the wide open. We got today left, and we finally get a moose. Beautiful, baby. Looking like a champ.
Nice job, man.
Nice. Good shooting.
Yeah, he took him like a champ. Whew. When you shot, the horses took off on me.
Did they?
Yeah.
Where they at?
I got some of them back. I have to get the rest of them. Whew.
Long time coming.
These cool moves, no question.
Yeah, that one's been a long time. Put our work in for him.
Yes, we did.
One day left.
That's how it happens, though.
Just like that, out of nowhere.
This is cool. That's really cool.
Yep. Now we got our work cut out for us.
Yes, we do.
This segment of Dropped, a look back, is brought to you by AXT. This segment of Dropped, a look back, is brought to you by Alaska Tent and Tarp.
Okay, so our job out here isn't just to take down an animal, it is to tell a story. And in the Yukon Season 2,
you had taken down a sheep about 10 days in, but we had gone 20 days without actually seeing another animal that we could take down. And that doesn't make a very good story. So there's a big risk being out here trying to shoot an entire series in 30 days. And if you don't run into the animals and the storyline, then you can put yourself in a pretty precarious situation, which led us to the first time you and I have ever split up.
Yeah.
And it also led to inevitably what was my moose kill.
Yeah, I think there's a huge misconception, whether it's the Yukon or Alaska, that there's animals around every corner and over every hill. That's not the case out here. This is huge country. You don't just stumble upon animals. I mean, it just doesn't happen. And I knew when we split up, I knew you could do it. It was just a matter of finding the right animal, and luckily you were able to find that moose.
All right, ready? Here we go. Hit him. Don't crush him. He's gonna go down right there.
With one shot from the muzzleloader in the side of the giant bull, Chris reloads and moves into position for a follow-up shot.
390 yards. 150, 250, 300. Is he going down? Is he going down? He's going down. He's going down. Going down.
He's down.
That muzzleloader.
He's down.
Hit him. Hit him. The smoke pole. Nice job, buddy. Good job.
You did her.
I don't even know what to think right now. It's crazy. Look at this. There he is. My Yukon bull. Wow. What a change. Holy smokes. We had a divide and conquer. Casey and I split up. It's a bittersweet moment, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I've always got my brother with me when something goes down, and I don't even know where he's at right now. So it's, I hope he's having just as much success as I am. I can't wait to get back and quarter him up and show everybody what a bull. Look at this thing.
Closed captioning for Dropped, a look back is brought to you by Thermacell. This segment of Dropped, a look back is brought to you by Cabela's.
Well, we've touched on this a lot, Chris. We've been lucky over the last couple of years to go to places like the remote Yukon, the remote places in Alaska, some of the most wild, untamed, and untouched places that are left on Earth. And I think what makes that so special for me is that there's an element of unpredictability with these hunts. You know, when you go on a whitetail hunt, there is a little bit of that predictability there, but when you come out here into the middle of nowhere, you rely on, you know, your skill, your instinct, and your wits to live off the land, to be a savvy and smart bushman when you're out here. There's just something intangible there that calls you back every single year, and that's what really makes Drop special for me.
Yeah, I think sharing those moments together as brothers and being able to spend that time out here in God's country is pretty amazing. And again, I feel like it's not just about, you know, hunting an animal. This is an adventure that we're on, and we're blessed every day to be able to spend that amount of time doing what we do
in this place, and I just feel like that's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. It's not about the hunt. The hunt is the most minuscule thing about Drummond. Any project we do, the hunt is the most minuscule thing. It's just about being out here and being alive.
That's correct.
Cold and black, I'm feeling 6 feet down. No, I ain't old. I'm feet kicking on the ground. So how will I know if I'm alive? And how will I know if the sun's ever gonna shine? I'm standing in the shadows of the life. So how will I know? How will I know if I die? How will I know if I die? Somewhere deep, there's a heart of gold. That I need to find. Tomorrow comes and goes. Yeah. So how will I know if I'm alive? And how will I know if the sun's ever gonna shine? Standing in the shadows of life. So how will I know? How will I know if I die? How will I know if I die? So how will I know if I'm alive? And how will I know if the sun's ever gonna shine? And standing in the shadows of life. So how